Making first contact with a client is kind of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind. At first, you're unfamiliar with the species, and you need to determine if it's going to abduct your time and resources or be a good fit for your business. Many people, myself included, have made the mistake of ignoring telltale signs because we didn't want to turn down any work. Gauging perception is one of the first things you'll want to do. Ask yourself these questions when approached by a new potential client. Does this client have unrealistic expectations? Does this client appreciate and value creative work? Do I align with this client's business goals and services? Does this client view us as a mere extension of their arm? These questions and more will help you evaluate if you should move forward with a client or at least clarify need to look closer at areas of your creative relationship and address them ahead of time to avoid problems later on. You need to decide whether you're going to work with the client or pass on a project. So pay close attention to subtle cues. Take time to get to know them and gauge their perceptions on a wide range of areas related to business, how they perceive a successful outcome, what marketing strategy they'll support their identity with, the personality of the people you'll be working with, etc. Some clients have very unrealistic expectations regarding logos. A logo won't improve poor customer service or fix a bad product. It won't relay information through your website's copywriting or communicate every attribute about a brand. For more information, see my Logo vs. Brand PDF included in the exercise files for this course. A logo is not a brand. A logo puts a face on a branding project, but in essence, a brand is everything related to the business. Everything a business does builds a story. That story is created by the experience of those who interact with it and what they come away with. A business is like an iceberg. What you see above the water is their logo. It represents the totality of the iceberg. But the majority of the iceberg, their brand, and who they really are, is submerged. Of course, all analogies fall apart at some point, so if you throw the Titanic into this specific analogy, the brand story can get really weird. It would be easy for me to say that if you're following everything I'm sharing, you'll never have any creative hiccups, but that isn't true. I've run into issues with my own clients' perceptions, and I'm going to share one with you now. I was approached by a client called New America, and when they approached me, they asked me to design their visual identity for a new social media site they were going to be developing. And in the process of all the upfront information I like to gather for any type of logo project and the research I do, it came out that one of the comments the client made to me was, "We want to be the next Facebook." Now, what also came out within the research phase is the fact that they wanted to be distinctly American, patriotic, and positive, all at the same time. That's fine. So when I set forward and created my initial design directions, these were 4 of about 8 total concepts that I showed the client to begin with. The client saw these and they didn't like any of them. Matter of fact, they really went out of their way to say how much they hated these. And the thing that they didn't like about it is, ironically, they didn't like the fact that they were so patriotic. So that was one problem that they pointed out. And the other aspect that they kind of clarified for me at this stage was they wanted it to be more social. So that's fine. Even though I felt it was a little misguided from the initial research and information they provided, we went ahead and moved to stage 2, and we worked out a mark that was more in line with a social media type of look that they had said they wanted, and not so patriotic. So this is more fun. Now, they saw this one and they didn't like this one either. They thought it was still too patriotic, and they didn't like the reference to the flag that was embedded in this direction. Now, they also wanted me to shift away from the distinct patriotic colors, and they felt it still needed to look more social and less happy. So what we did is we kept moving forward, and we worked out the next direction shown here. Now, on this direction, the client thought it was still too happy, that he didn't like the reference to the smile in this logo, and the client didn't understand the colors. Now, when the client was looking at this, I tried to, gauge what he was looking for, and at this point, he just threw out, how about if you just did an icon with the letters N and A and just use that, kind of like a favicon. And this is the point where in my mind I started to get red flags and get that alert symbol where I'm just going, I'm not sure about this because now the client's playing art director. But I went ahead and did it anyway, and this was the direction I showed him. And no surprise, he didn't like this one either. And he felt that now it wasn't American enough. And this is the point I'm going, well, yeah, it isn't very American. So the client reiterated that he wanted this to be all about revealing a new America and that there's opportunities that are being uncovered. And I said, well, I can play with that. I like that concept. And so I worked out this design direction based off of that insight. And I really like this. I thought I had something going here. It had a nice kind of new media, social media feel to it. And the client saw this one, and they didn't like this one either. Client says it's about a bright future, but it still needs to be fun and positive. Client asked that if I could actually work in the face again, even though he initially said he didn't like it. So I said, yes, I can go in that direction, make it bright about the future and work a face back into it. So I created this. And I also like this one too. I really like the colors. I thought the colors were nice on this, but once again, the client saw this one and they didn't like this approach either. They said it wasn't American enough now, and the client asked that if it could be more patriotic and fun. So we're kind of ping-ponging back and forth here during the creative process, but I stuck with it. I wasn't willing to just give up on the client just yet, so I decided to move forward, and this is the iteration I created next. Now, this didn't have distinct patriotic colors, but I thought it was still patriotic since it references the nation of the United States, and he's just going, we're number one. I like this. It actually was my favorite approach out of all of them, but when it was all said and done, the client still didn't like this. Matter of fact, the client didn't like anything I created, and it was at this stage that I had to basically let the client go and tell him that I think he'd be better served to find somebody else to work out a visual identity for him. And all of this happened basically because I didn't do my upfront work in terms of gauging perceptions very well. So make sure your client's perceptions of what a logo can do is realistic and aligns with what they want to accomplish as a business. Truth be told, a brand can be successful without having a well-designed logo, and a brand that is failing can do so even with a great logo design in place. The challenge is to do both well, and understanding your client's perceptions will help you to accomplish this.